We're doing a little bit of lawn renovation today on Pots and Trowels, and that's brought to you with the support of Cobra Garden and King Seeds. Hello and welcome to Pots and Trowels, where we're out on the back garden today. I'm going to do a little bit of work on the lawns because we've now, at long last, after a very wet autumn and winter, managed to get on and do some planting. I think the last time we looked at the garden is when we were shaping this border here and setting out a few of the plants, and that video is on one of our YouTube videos if you want to have a look at it. So we've now managed to do the planting. There's a mixture of shrubs, there's evergreens to give us all year round colour, and herbaceous perennials in pockets through them. And what we did do was, when we cleared the undergrowth at the back here, we found loads of stone. I don't like throwing anything away. I like to recycle or upcycle as much as possible. So we laid the old paving there. We've got a nice bench where we can sit with a glass of wine or a cup of coffee, and then we've done this little dry stone wall that will have ferns and ivies and trailing plants over it. So when it all grows, we've got a little path around the back that will be bark. But it's the lawns we want to have a look at today, and it sounds like somebody else is on their lawn at the moment, mowing their lawn in the neighbouring garden. This was bare soil just here, and what we did was we dug it out. There was an old pond here originally, and we lifted some turf from another part of the garden, filled it with soil and levelled it. And I'm not after a bowling green. Don't mind a few slight undulations on the lawn, but I want it to be easy to mow. And because I've re-turfed this and lifted it, you can just see still where the turf has been laid there, and it's not quite as level as I want it at this stage. And what I don't want to do is just tamp it down too hard, so we're going to top dress it. So that's where we put a little bit of soil on and seed it. But before that, I want to do a little bit of scarifying as well, just to get any of the dead grass, or thatch as we call it, out the bottom of the grass. So just to really rejuvenate it, to kickstart it into growth. And of course now is the perfect time of year to do it. Here we are, middle of April, the ground is moist, the temperatures are rising, so perfect for doing this type of work on the lawn. But before we do anything, the first thing I always do is mow it, because it's much easier to work on the lawn if we can just take the top growth off. So I'm going to mow it with the mower here. I've got the box on, I'm going to collect it. I'm not going to mow it particularly too close, but I just want to take the top off it, so it makes life that little bit easier. With the lawn just topped, that will make it a little bit easier now to work on, because what we're going to do next is scarifying. Scarifying is basically when we rake the lawn quite vigorously and it gets all the dead material out the base, any rubbish that's built up. It's known as thatch. So we want to get the thatch out to get the air in and encourage nice strong growth. And you can scarify lightly pretty much any time through the season while ever the grass is growing. And the secret is to do it little and often. Now, this lawn has probably never been scarified for 20, 30 years, probably even longer than that. So there's probably going to be quite a lot of thatch in there. And the old fashioned way, of course, would be to do it with a wire rake like this, and you would just go at it and rake like that. And in fairness, there's not an awful lot of thatch coming out of there. I'm quite surprised, but this is also a good way to get rid of moss. But there's not as much coming out as I expected, which is good. That means the lawn's in reasonable condition. To do a big lawn like this with this rake would be really hard work. So we're going to get rid of that over there. And instead I'm going to use an electric scarifier just here. So this one is electric. You can get now battery operated ones or petrol ones, and it comes with 2 cartridges. And if I just flip this on its side, I never do anything underneath here until you've unplugged it, so it must be unplugged. But this is the equivalent of the wire rake, and this fits into there, spins around very quickly, and this pulls out the dead material. But what I'm going to use is this attachment, which I've already fitted in here. It's very easy to change over. This is called a dethatcher, and it will actually, instead of raking it out, it almost cuts slits in, it will pull out any rubbish, but it also helps with surface compaction. So if you've got a slightly uneven surface or it's compacted, these little blades just cut in. Now we're not going deep, we just want to scratch the surface. So what we need to do is adjust it when we start. So the adjust control is here, and essentially what that does, it takes the wheels up and down, so like that. And if it's unplugged, so I know it's safe, I can feel they're only just touching the surface. So we'll give it a go. If it's not deep enough, then we'll go a little bit deeper. And I'm just going to go up and down, especially over this area where I've turfed, because the idea is to try and blend this new piece in with the rest of the lawn. So first thing is we need to plug it in, and then we can pop the box on the back. That's going to catch everything like that, and then off we go. There, and we can see the blades are just going in, so it's leaving the low bits and it's doing the high bits. So what I'm going to do is pass over that once, and then I might do it in the opposite direction, and that will just help with the next procedure. So it has now been given a good raking over with the dethatcher on there. And now if we can see here, this is a really good example. If Jill can get here, this would have been a high spot. I mean, you can see you've got that checkerboard there where I've gone over it in that way and then in that way. So that will do various things. What it's doing, it will help to level out the high spots, because that will eventually settle. Now I've disturbed it, but also if you've got a lawn with lots of spreading grasses that get invasive, going through like that chops them all, and it keeps the grass really thick and tufty. So you wouldn't do that necessarily all the time. I've been quite extreme on the lawn here. You'd probably do a lighter pass with it or put the scarifier wires on it. Now this is the bit that I'm concentrating on, because it's just that little bit uneven. It's not compact because I know I cultivated it. It's probably settled a little bit since I did it. So the ground under there is fine. But if your ground is very wet and compacted, you could also then go round with a garden fork, and this one pushes in easy because it's new soil that's gone in there to build the levels up. But if drainage is an issue, or you've got really compact areas, then just pushing a garden fork in about 10-12 centimetres, 4 to 5 inches, will really help with the aeration and again encourage nice grass. I know this is okay, so I'm not going to do it, but what I am going to do is to put on a little bit of grass seed and a little bit of top dressing. So this is the top dressing. Now you can buy top dressing, all the sports fields, bowling green, golf greens, football pitchers will buy this in bulk and top dress their lawn. I've made my own, but you can buy it bagged. So this is just garden soil. We had some spare garden soil when we were moving borders around, so I bagged a few bags of it. It could do with being a little bit drier, but this is fine. We did riddle it to get rid of the stone. So to that we've mixed about 2 parts soil, 1 part gritty sand, not soft building sand. It's got to be that sharp sand that helps with drainage. And then what we do with our spade, we're going to scatter a very thin layer over this surface. So just load your spade up, don't put too much on, and it's a practice thing, but we can level it out if it's wrong, because we're going to flick it quickly and spread it across like that, so it almost disappears. So I'm going to cover this area over like that, so we're not putting a thick layer on to smother the grass. The idea is it is literally a top dressing that when we've brushed it around, it will fill in any little hollows, and it will just mean if we put a bit of seed on there, it will give it something to anchor into. So What we certainly don't want is to put a thick layer on that will smother the grass, because that will just kill it. But you get used to it. It's just a case of letting it spread as wide and thinly as possible. I think just a little bit just in this area here will just about do it. So that gives you an idea. Less than a wheelbarrow has covered quite a big area just there. Right. Now, if I were a groundsman, I would have an implement called a true loop that would level it. I haven't got one of those, so I'm going to use other means. But what I'm also going to do at this stage, while we've got this soil here, is to get a little bit of grass seed, and I'm just going to very lightly overseed it. And I'm going to do this over all the lawn. If I just do this bit here, it might look different. So I'm going to go over the whole lawn very, very thinly with just a little light sprinkling of seed like this. So just again to help thicken it up where we've got those bare patches. Just a little bit in there. Extra little bit for the birds. And then we can level it. Now, you could use the back of a rake and just push it around like that. So the idea is to work it down into the grass so it almost disappears. So it's just a case of going over it like that. That mixes the seed in, so the seed is in contact. If you get a bit of a dip, then, you know, the idea is that it will fill that dip. Or you could use, if you've got a bees and broom like this, just waft that across gently, and you can see where the soil is. It disappears down into the covering of the grass, levels it out, and again, brushes it off the high spots and into the low spots. So that is it. It's really quite easy to do. And with the weather as it is, with the showers we get at this time of the year, there's no need to really do anything with that. I'm just going to leave it. Should it be very, very dry, I will probably just give it a sprinkling of water, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. And then that seed will germinate. But more importantly, because we've now gone through it with the dethatcher or the scarifier, that will really encourage that grass to grow back with vigour. So even without the seed or the soil on, it would still grow back really, really well. And I can guarantee, and we'll have a quick look at it, give this a month, you won't even know we've been on this lawn, and it will be nice and thick and hopefully just that a little bit easier to mow without being bumpety as I go along with the mower. So there it is. Scarifying, top dressing on worn areas, you can really renovate them to make them look healthy again. Well, thank you for watching, and we will revisit the lawn late spring. And don't forget, we've got our weekly podcasts, which come out every Sunday, and you can get those from your normal provider. But I've got more to do, so I've got to fly.